I would like to speak on something. I know it can be like a touchy subject, but I want to talk about this because this is a struggle that I have had with my confidence ever since I can fucking remember. I am a very confident person, but the one thing I'm insecure about is my natural hair. Like, I feel like my natural hair is 4C. Like, it's coily, okay? And it shrinks so bad. And I've been getting relaxers ever since I was a child. I went natural for a couple of years and I just could not bring myself to be comfortable with my natural hair. And I just feel like, as especially like within our community, obviously there's texturism, but I also feel like this is gonna sound so like kind of privileged, but I don't have to say it, but I just struggle with this. I feel like as a light skinned black woman, I don't fit the beauty standard because of the texture of my hair. Like, I just don't feel confident when I wear my natural hair texture. Like, I don't at all. So I've always gotten relaxers and I've always worn my hair in protective styles. Obviously, I know it's detrimental to think, and I know it's detrimental to our community, and it's a very privileged thing to say in comparison to the problems that brown skin and darker skinned women have to go through. I'm very aware of that. That's just one of my personal struggles. And I just wanted to say that because, yeah, texturism.
Ah, shit. Get your tea and your popcorn because we have hit yet another psychological jackpot. So, do you guys remember that light skinned black girl who made the video about feeling insecure about her 4C hair? Now, let's take a look at this response here.
So, unfortunately, I was raised around three generations of out of touch light skinned women, like the Red Table Talk. So, I do understand what she was saying. I speak delusional light skinned women.
Okay, I had to pause it right there because she says she was raised by three generations of out of touch light skinned women. So not only is she throwing her entire family under the bus for the last three generations, she's doing all of this to pander to unambiguous women. Obviously, this woman is one of those exotical saviors. That's what I would call this type of woman. But notice how she says, I speak delusional light skin. So she's saying that light skinned people speak a whole other language than unambiguous dark skinned women. So isn't that interesting? They're accusing this light skinned woman with the 4C hair of being texturous, colorist, featurist, but then you've got a woman right here who is implying that light skinned women speak a whole other language that the quote unquote dark skinned women can't understand. If that's not internalized colorism, I don't know what is, but let's continue.
Basically, it all boils down to that these light skinned women, they don't see themselves as in the black beauty standard. So when she said, I'm not held to the same beauty standard, I'm not like you darkies. Why is my hair nappy?
Okay, first of all, the woman never even said anything about darkies. I didn't hear her calling people any names. This reminds me of when people tried to make a fake screenshot of my channel and say that I called people darkies. So, do you see the internalized colorism actually coming out? So, because the woman acknowledges that she looks different than dark skinned, unambiguous black women, people are automatically equating that to colorism.
Yeah? I'm light skinned. I'm clean. I'm supposed to look mixed. I'm supposed to be Zendaya.
Okay, so now notice how she says, I'm light skinned, I'm clean. So do you hear the internalized colorism coming out? Because again, the woman never said anything about dark skin being dirty. That's her saying that. That's this woman on this TikTok saying that. So do you see how whenever a person is viewed as privileged, people in Blackistan will start putting words in your mouth? They'll put words in your mouth. They'll assume that your color is texturous and featurous. They'll have no empathy for your plight, but then they want you to have empathy for theirs.
Or I'm supposed to be Creole. I'm supposed to at least be Beyonce.
And has anyone else noticed the obsession with constantly bringing up Creoles? I'm telling you guys, a lot of people in the ignorant side of the black community view Creoles as the standard for colorist light skinned people. So I feel like that's part of the reason why people are constantly just randomly bringing up Creoles out of nowhere when the woman never said anything about Creoles.
But here I am, not giving any of that, and I'm blowing my cover. Yeah, they're in a way it's like a passe blanc. Like, girl, I'm trying to get up there. That's exactly why she said she started perming her hair because she just can't find it doesn't match.
So the girl never said that her hair doesn't match her skin tone. You guys saw the video. Also, I'm not going to accuse this woman's hair of being a weave in the video. I'm not going to accuse her hair of being fake, but I find it interesting how they're accusing this light-skinned woman of trying to social climb using her hair texture, but we see unambiguous black women social climbing using their hair all the time or using their wigs all the time. So why is it only wrong when someone who has a lighter skin tone does it? But if someone darker does it, oh, they're just trying to be accepted by society and you need to get out of black women's hair and stay out of their business. Black women can do whatever they want with their hair. Yeah, black women can do whatever they want with their hair as long as they're dark skinned.
No, but they really think that the only thing standing between them and Zendaya's career is a looser curl texture. They're still going to turn around and probably pick a very, very dark skinned man because y'all go together, and that's why I don't know. Let me just.
So now she's saying that the only thing standing between her and a career is a hair texture. So the light skinned girl never said anything about Hollywood. She never said anything about Zendaya. But do you see how high of a pedestal this woman is putting this light skinned girl on? She's comparing her to Zendaya. She's comparing her to Hollywood. She's saying that light skinned women go with dark skinned black men. So isn't that interesting? So then who do dark skinned black women go with? That's my question. So do you see how she's equating relationship dynamics to skin complexion? She has all of these rules in her head. Like, okay, light skinned women go with dark skinned black men. And then like, XYZ hair texture goes with light skin and that's why she's mad. So do you see all of the projection that's happening? Let's take a look at some of these comments. This girl says, I got Angela Davis type light skins in my family, thank God. So now they are exposing themselves. They're revealing that if you're light skinned, they want you to have that personality type like Angela Davis. So kind of like Amanda Seales, that personality type where you're putting on the cape for women who wouldn't put on the cape for you. I've talked about this extensively on this channel. A lot of unambiguous mono dark skinned black women want to use light skinned women, mixed women, or dark skinned women with looser hair textures as their mules. So, any woman who's considered privileged in the black community, it is your responsibility to be a leader, to be a role model, and to carry unambiguous women on your shoulders and to give up whatever social status you have on their behalf. And then, of course, the favor is not going to be returned, as is the case with this light skinned woman. This person says, like the red table talk, LMAO. Yeah, notice how she randomly is throwing all these other light skinned women into it. She threw in Jada Pinkett, Willow Smith, Jada Pinkett's mom. She threw in Zendaya. So do you see what I mean about how there's just this, there's this group think, or there's kind of the stereotype basically that she's saying, like all these out of touch light skins, or they wish that they could be like Zendaya. First of all, Zendaya's acting, like that's why she's famous. It has nothing to do with like just her hair texture. This person says, I've heard older people call it a waste of light skin when said that light skin has type 4 hair and or broader features. Also, guess what? That light skinned black girl, both of her parents are black. So who do you think is the one who sent her the messaging about her 4C hair or the initial insecurities about her 4C hair? It was probably her black mother or black father. So either way, it is still the fault of those within the black community. Why is no one acknowledging that? Someone else said, all that yellow gone to waste. I heard that growing up in the South, said to my cousins. Okay, so you guys are exposing yourselves. You're exposing the fact that the black community is the one who is perpetuating this internalized texturism. Then you turn around and get mad when a light-skinned monoracial black woman internalizes the same messages that dark-skinned black women internalized. This person says that last sentence, you go together, hits more deeper than people think. But I thought you guys were divesting. I thought that you guys were not even dating unambiguous black men. I will say, by the way, this light skinned girl, she does have an unambiguous dark skinned black boyfriend. If your boyfriend is darker than you, if your boyfriend's dark skinned, if he's black in any way, or even if you date a mixed race man, let's say you're a light skinned black woman and you date a light skinned man, you're still going to be stereotyped as a colorist because people are going to say, oh, you're trying to make sure your babies come out light skinned. So basically, light skinned women are not allowed to date either. So I think that no matter who this woman would have been dating, people would have said negative things about her because I'm sure that if she would have been dating a white man, people probably would have said, oh, you're trying to be white. You wish you were white. That's why you wish your 4C hair texture was different. This person says, I'm glad my mama is not one of these red table talk light skins. This person says, light skinned mom, I'm the only darker skinned child. Mom was never problematic and told me I was beautiful all the time. It's always surreal to me seeing how it could have turned out. So, do you see how all of these different exoticals are pandering to the unambiguous community? And by the way, if you're an unambiguous Black woman watching this, exotical women who pander to you guys, a lot of those women are only doing that out of safety. A lot of those women are only doing it out of trauma. They're doing it because they don't want to be bullied, or they are maliciously doing it so they can build their pedestals and make money off your asses. So, I mean, I'm just saying, that's just not very smart to accept these exotical saviors. And this person says, how ironic. Her name is Nina Simone, a woman with natural hair and dark skin.
There is a light-skinned woman with 4C hair that came on this app lamenting that she is not the beauty standard because she has 4C hair. And while I do not think she deserves the hate she's getting, I do think that the proper response to her post is small eye, big eye, oh brother. Because while she accurately identifies that there is texturism in the Black community, she doesn't seem nearly as perturbed with the colorism in the Black community because she's benefiting from that.
Okay, notice how she said that this light skinned woman doesn't care about colorism because she's benefiting from it. My response is, why should she give a fuck about you if you guys clearly don't give a fuck about her? So, do you see what I'm talking about with the psychology of a lot of unambiguous Black women? They dish it out. They dish out this lack of empathy towards you as a privileged woman. They dish out this lack of relatability towards you. They do not care what you have to say. They don't want to listen to your life story. They don't want to hear about your insecurities. But then you are expected to listen to theirs. You're expected to be the leader and the Rosa Parks of the unambiguous community. So notice how that's the first thing she did. She said, well, I don't see her standing up for colorism. Well, guess what? She doesn't have to care about your plight if you don't care about hers. And I tried to tell you guys, I actually try to be pretty balanced on this channel. There are a lot of mixed women who won't give unambiguous women the same grace. So guess what? We're not idiots. If we can see that unambiguous women don't care about our stories and they don't care about our plight and they don't defend us, we're not going to defend you. So isn't it funny how she expected this woman to stand up against colorism? So she's now supposed to use her platform. Nina Simone is essentially supposed to be using her platform to stand up for the same group of women who just dragged her for being vulnerable with them. They just showed her a lack of empathy, but she should have been standing up for colorism. And then she says, oh, she's not standing up against colorism because she benefits from it. Well, no shit, Sherlock. People can't speak on experiences that they don't have, right? You guys love telling people that, oh, well, you can't relate. You're not a dark skinned Black woman. So don't speak for dark skinned Black women and don't do that. Okay. So then dark skinned Black women should be the ones who are responsible for speaking out against people that are affecting them personally, right? Because you guys are the ones who are actually experiencing the colorism, right? You guys would know all of the nuances of what it's like to be a dark skinned Black woman, right? So why is it that you suddenly expect a light skinned woman who's never been dark skinned a day in her life to speak on behalf of dark skinned women? Do you see the extreme hypocrisy there?
Because she's benefiting from that. Like, why she believes she even deserves to be the beauty standard, unless we clear the woman is beautiful and sickening. But why she feels like she deserves to be is because she's fair skinned.
So now she's projecting because she says that she feels like she deserves to be the beauty standard because she's light skinned. Not only did the girl not say that, but also, even if this girl did feel like she deserves to be the beauty standard, there's nothing wrong with women feeling like they deserve to feel beautiful. Do we not have hundreds of thousands of dark skinned Black women creating entire YouTube channels talking about how dark skinned women deserve to be the beauty standard? So, do you see the hypocrisy once again? So, it's okay for a dark skinned, unambiguous woman with 4C hair to feel like she deserves to be the beauty standard because of how she was born. Right? Because that's called confidence, right? That's body positivity, feeling like you deserve to be a beauty standard while being big and being obese or whatever. And other people should accept you. They should accept your beauty. So they will do the same behavior. But then if a light skinned woman has any audacity to feel like she deserves to be beautiful, suddenly, oh, she only thinks that because she's fair skinned. And even if she does, now what? Who gonna check her? I mean, seriously. And I don't even think that this girl is a colorist, but let's say that she did think that because of her skin complexion that she deserves to be beautiful, which, by the way, I see nothing wrong with, because I think every skin tone deserves to feel beautiful. I don't care if you're light skin, dark skin, if you're white, if you're Asian, there is nothing wrong with thinking that your skin complexion in and of itself is inherently beautiful. I said what I said. But I noticed in the unambiguous community, every other group of women is allowed to think that their skin complexions are beautiful, except for light skinned Black women, because it has to automatically be based on colorism in their eyes. And they're saying this because, you're triggering their insecurities. This woman is triggering their insecurities by feeling like she should be considered beautiful because, she goes against this unambiguous dark skin phenotype. So it's okay for everybody else to be pretty except for light skinned women, according to this girl's logic.
And she even says, like, let's admit it. And she's right. We do put fair skinned, light skinned people up on a pedestal. But that doesn't seem to bother you nearly as much. Now, she did admit she's on her journey to love her hair, and I love that for her.
Also, notice how she said that putting light-skinned people on a pedestal doesn't bother her, but she does not describe what exactly the pedestal is. Have you ever noticed this? Unambiguous Black women, they never tell you what it means to be on the pedestal. Like, she doesn't describe what the pedestal is. And whenever you ask them, hey, what does it mean when they're on a pedestal? They will start describing compliments. Her receiving compliments. She receives followers on Instagram. She has followers on TikTok. So according to the unambiguous community, having any sort of validation is considered being put on a pedestal. So they're admitting that they don't want you to receive any validation at all. You shouldn't be validated for your skin tone if you're light skinned. You can't be validated for your beauty. You can't be validated for how you feel or your insecurities about your 4C hair. Unambiguous women can be validated for all of those things. But if you're not dark skinned with broad features and type 4 hair, you can't be.
And I think if the conversation was more around like, oh my God, I am so stunning and so sickening, but I'm getting these like societal pressures about my hair, then I think we would have had time for it. But as a dark-skinned woman with kinky hair, who has a sister who everyone says I look like, but is lighter than me and has softer texture hair than me, so I was always told that I was never as pretty as her. Not by my family, we don't do that. But by society, I really don't want to hear light skin lamentations.
Okay, so now she actually said a lot there. She just revealed the reason behind her talking points, which is her personal internalized trauma of feeling compared to her lighter sister and being told by society, aka invisible people in her mind, that somehow her sister's prettier than her. I notice that's another catch-all word that they will use. They'll say, oh, society tells me I'm not as pretty. Society thinks that I'm ugly. Society hates my hair. And it's like, okay, who is this invisible society that you're talking about that you have no examples of? You have no personal experiences regarding this. This light-skinned random TikToker, is she one of the people that is personally badgering your hair texture or your features? So sometimes what unambiguous women do is they use generalized terms and they hide behind the isms so that they can invalidate light-skinned women. That's exactly what this woman is doing. And she told you the reason why. It's because she herself has a light-skinned sister that she never felt as pretty as. And then she ends her sentence by saying she doesn't want to hear, quote, light-skinned lamentations. So she's actually doing the same thing that the last woman did. You know how the last girl in that TikTok, she said, oh, I speak delusional light skin, saying that light skinned women like speak a different language. This goes along with my talking point, which is that a lot of unambiguous women, they do not see light skinned monoracial Black women in the same way. I told you guys that being monoracial will not save you. You're still going to get othered by the Black community because they're literally othering you by implying that you speak another language. They're saying you speak light skinned, or I don't want to hear these light skinned lamentations, or I come from 3 generations of delusional red table talk light skins. First of all, I thought those women on red table talk aren't even light skinned. So what happened to that talking point? I thought Jada Pinkett and Willow Smith, I thought they don't count as light skinned. So not only do they continuously move the goalpost of what light skinned is, but they're othering light skinned monoracial women by saying things like, oh, they speak a different language, or they're different, their skin tone is different. Okay, so if that's not being othered, I don't know what is. So this is why you need to burn the cape. It's because you're not on the same team in their eyes.
I don't. If we want to solve the issues in the Black community, I do not think that the light-skinned person should be at the forefront of why it needs to be solved. So your lamentations of not being the beauty standard, yeah, get in line, girl. Get in line.
Okay, so now she says, if we're going to solve the issues in the Black community, a light-skinned woman does not need to be at the forefront. Okay, so then why do you expect her to speak up about colorism? This woman just said earlier on, just a few seconds ago, oh, well, she didn't speak out about colorism. She doesn't seem to have a problem with colorism because she benefits from it. Okay, but you just said light-skinned women shouldn't be at the forefront of solving Black communities' issues, right? Which would mean that it is not light-skinned women's responsibility to solve colorism. Okay, so since it's not light-skinned women's responsibility, then guess what? we don't have to speak about colorism. We don't have to defend you. We don't have to make videos about you. We don't have to validate your beauty because we shouldn't be at the forefront, right? According to that logic. And then she says, oh, you don't meet the beauty standard, get in line. So now she's implying that all unambiguous dark skinned women don't meet the beauty standard. Like, get in line with who? She says, oh, you don't meet the beauty standard, get in line. Get in line with who? With dark skinned women? With black women? With women with 4C hair? Who is in the line of ugly women who are trying to meet the beauty standard? That's the question I have for her. So do you see her internalized colorism coming out once again? You don't fit the beauty standard, get in line. Sis, what are you talking about? There are plenty of unambiguous black women who definitely benefit from pretty privilege. They definitely meet beauty standards. They're literally models right now. They're getting all of their benefits. They're getting the free drinks at the bars, all these things that you think you can't have. There are plenty of other women with your same complexion, your same 4C hair texture, and a dark skin tone who are receiving just as much quote unquote pretty privilege as anybody else. So I find it interesting how she's doing that hierarchy thinking where she's implying that unambiguous black women are at the bottom. Like, oh, you don't fit the beauty standard? Get in line with the rest of us. Get your ass back over here at the bottom with the rest of us. Get in line to be beautiful. You know, none of us are beautiful over here. That includes you. That's essentially what she's implying here.
In line, because I watch women who look like me boost up women who are fair skinned with soft hair. And sometimes I'd be like, you only think she's pretty because she has curly hair. Like, the Felicity effect. If she shaved your hair, she wouldn't be as pretty anymore. So just say, I like her hair. Like, you can admit that you like someone's features. They don't have to be the bastion of beauty. It's giving Slim Kim, like, yes, she's accurately clocking the message that society delivers to her and to us. But also, girl, like, hush.
Okay, so this is interesting. Now she's comparing this light-skinned woman to Slim Kim. You know why? It's because both Slim Kim and the light-skinned girl, both of these women are privileged. Slim Kim has thin privilege, and the other girl has light skin privilege. So she's grouping all of these privileged women kind of in their own category, saying, you know, it's giving Slim Kim, it's giving delusional red table talk. They're speaking light skin. Oh, they're speaking delusional light skin women. I don't want to hear these light skin lamentations. So according to women with inferiority complexes, like this woman here in the TikTok, if you have any privilege at all, you're going to be dismissed, basically. So they're saying you don't get to speak out about your struggles, basically, because you don't have any. Oh, you don't feel beautiful? Get in line with the rest of us ugly, unambiguous black women, is what she's implying. And that's actually an insult to unambiguous dark-skinned women who actually do have pretty privilege. Somebody commented, they said, why are y'all minimizing her experience? It's literally jealousy. Yeah, it's because they think that, you know, since she's light-skinned, of course, she has to be silent. This person says black women, all skin colors, also cry and hate having 4C hair. Exactly. I've seen more unambiguous women making videos that will literally be titled, I hate my 4C hair. So they're way more out with it versus this random light skinned girl. But she said, I'm tired of people acting like she can't also be sad because she's light skinned. People dismiss any struggle if people have a privilege. I wonder if this person watches the exotical space. But yeah, they dismiss any struggle. If you have any privilege, you're not allowed to talk about anything you're going through because you can't receive empathy if you have struggle. You know, women with inferiority complexes, they will not give you any empathy if they view you as more privileged than them. That's why she compared this light-skinned woman to Slim Kim. If you look at this girl, I wouldn't call her obese, but she doesn't look as Slim Kim. So she may view Slim Kim as also being more privileged than her or having access to a privilege that she herself doesn't have access to. So that's why she's dismissing both of them, basically saying, whatever, nobody cares because both of you guys are more privileged than me. This woman is essentially saying, you're more privileged than me, so why should I give a fuck? Okay, so since you guys admit in the unambiguous community that you group women up based on their level of privileges, that's exactly why the Exoticals United channel is needed. This is the channel for the quote-unquote privileged black women. This is the channel for the women who have been ostracized, the women who have been othered, the women who have been called overprivileged, the women who have been called delusional and silenced, because women like this want to make it like, oh, I don't want to hear these light-skinned lamentations. Imagine if I said, I don't want to hear these unambiguous lamentations. I don't want to hear these dark-skinned lamentations. Do you know how many people would call me colorist, texturist, and featurist if I said that? So she's admitting that she doesn't want to hear anybody's story if they are privileged. And she even included thin privileged, unambiguous women in the same group. This person says, I'm a light-skinned woman with 4C hair, and I very much rolled my eyes when she brought up her skin tone in the conversation. She could have just talked about her struggles with her hair and left it at that. So she's implying that basically if you're light skinned, you can't talk about it. You can't say that you're light skinned. You're not allowed to acknowledge being light skinned. So they will beg you to acknowledge your privilege, just like how they did on YouTube. They demanded that people acknowledge their light skin privilege, acknowledge their mixed privilege, acknowledge their hair texture privilege, etc. But as soon as somebody acknowledges it, now suddenly the argument is, oh, be quiet. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me what your privileges are. And this is why I agree that you really shouldn't talk about your privileges around women who view themselves as underprivileged. This is why privileged women need their own safe spaces as well. There's a reason why a lot of people who are wealthy do not socialize in impoverished spaces because, yeah, the people who don't have access to those same privileges, they may view it as flexing or it may trigger their insecurities. So that's fine. That's why I'm glad we have our own spaces and we're burning the capes. This person says, let's be real. It's a huge problem overall. I've been clocking women of all shades of black coming on this app hating their 4C hair. My 4C hair could never under every hair post. This person says, I mean, I understood what she was saying. Basically, she's light skinned with 4C hair. She doesn't feel she can uphold that beauty standard placed on her forcefully because she's light skinned. Yeah, the main people who hold light skinned monoracial women to a standard of looking biracial is the black community. That's the only community that will consistently remind light skinned monoracial women, oh, you have nappy hair. Oh, well, you have broad features. You know, they're ranking them on a scale of whiteness. That's the black community that's projecting that onto her. And she says that she comes from a black family. So she has a black mother and a black father and 4 black grandparents. Okay, so who's the problem then? She didn't say anything in the TikTok about white people saying, oh, well, you know, you don't fit the beauty standard.
Her saying what she said actually kind of reminds me of what Deja Harris said about her 4C hair, about how she didn't like her dad's texture and how she felt like her texture, her hair texture didn't match her. And she actually did get a lot of flack for it. Like, a lot of black people felt like because she said that, they felt like she probably thought that she should have a looser texture because she is light skinned. Because a lot of the times, as black people, when we see light skinned people, we associate them with having looser hair or colored eyes and just looking really racially ambiguous looking. And so even when the girl in the original video said, as a light skinned woman, I feel like that's kind of what triggered people, because it's like, as a light-skinned woman, maybe you thought that you should have a looser texture of hair because you are light-skinned.
But my question is, why can't you allow light-skinned women to speak for themselves? Why is it that because she mentioned being light-skinned, you, as a non-light-skinned identifying person, suddenly say, oh, well, you're only mad because you think you should have type 3 hair because you're light-skinned. I've never in my life heard a light-skinned person say that. Oh, well, I'm light skinned, so I should have had type 3 hair, especially if they come from 2 black parents or 2 parents that have 4C hair. So, do you see how no matter what these light skinned monoracial women say, there's always an unambiguous black woman saying, oh, well, this is why you think that. You think that because you're light skinned, you should have type 3 hair, even though that's literally not what the person said. And this goes along with my talking point. Being monoracial won't save you. Unambiguous women who feel less privileged than you, they will not listen to what you have to say. They do not care about what you have to say. In fact, they said it. They said, we don't want to hear your light skin lamentations. You are a red table talk delusional light skin. They said that, you know, they come from 3 generations of delusional light skin. So basically, they will not be able to see past their own stereotypes of light skinned black women. So there's nothing you can do or say. These women are literally prejudiced. This is actually the definition of being prejudiced, because prejudice is when you prejudge someone based on their appearance, their racial background, their skin complexion. So they don't care what you say. So even though they never said, hey, I should have type 3 hair, she's putting those words in your mouth. Why? Because that fits her narrative of how a light-skinned girl acts. You know how people say, oh, she's acting light-skinned. So they're basically still projecting these same stereotypes onto these women. And notice how with this light-skinned girl speaking about her hair texture, the first thing they did was they grouped her in with Jada Pinkett and Red Table Talk. They grouped her in with Deja. They're grouping her in with as many other light-skinned women that they can think of. You know why they're doing that? It's because they want that confirmation bias. They're trying to confirm that if you are light-skinned, you must be texturous and colorous. You must be trying to pass as biracial or mixed or whatever. And even if you are, isn't that interesting how light-skinned monoracial women, you're not allowed to pass as biracial or mixed, but dark-skinned unambiguous black women are literally putting carcinogenic chemicals in their hair to relax it. They are ripping out their edges and causing alopecia on their hair to look like a dark-skinned biracial woman. They want to look like a dark-skinned Blasian woman. So they're doing the same behaviors behind closed doors, but then at the same time, they're obsessed with what light skinned black women are doing. They're obsessed with what light skinned women think of their hair. And even if a woman says, hey, I perm my hair, then suddenly the unambiguous community has to come in and psychoanalyze you as a light skinned monoracial. And isn't it interesting how, with the invention of the exotical space, they come for me saying, oh, why are you in unambiguous women's business? Why are you in black women's business? Why are you psychoanalyzing black women? So they get mad at us when we clock their inferiority complexes or psychoanalyze that, but then they're over here doing the same thing.
Because there are dark-skinned women and dark-skinned people that have looser texture of hair. Like me, for an example, my hair texture is like a 4A, 4B. And when it's defined, my hair looks like jerry curls.
Okay, so notice how the caption on here says, only dark skin should have 4C hair. Who said that? Where is the screenshot of Deja saying that? Where's the screenshot of this light-skinned girl saying that? Where's the screenshot of any light-skinned monoracial woman saying this quote that she's putting on the screen? Only dark skin should have 4C hair. And I've noticed the reason that some of the browner skinned exotical women come against the light-skinned black women in these cases is because these women themselves, the darker skinned women with the looser hair textures, they have felt ostracized and pulled into the unambiguous community because dark-skinned black women, they fight tooth and nail to have women like this one on the screen be their representation of beauty. So they will tell those dark-skinned women, hey, you're not like those light-skinned girls. Your complexion cancels out you being exotified. And that's not the case. But this woman, as well as the other woman on the TikTok, the other woman who was saying that she's related to 3 generations of light skins, exoticals like that, they're still another version of a savior. They're like an exotical savior for the unambiguous community because those women themselves have been pulled out, or they've basically been pulled back into the unambiguous community. And so now what they will do is sometimes they'll try to prove themselves and say, well, I'm darker than you and have a looser hair texture than you. Having a loose hair texture is not a competition. Okay. So it's not a competition to see who has the most exotic hair texture. The looser it is, the more exotic it is. So let me try to show pictures of myself and how I'm darker than you and my hair is looser than yours. So do you see how the unambiguous community creeps over into the exotical community and teaches the darker skinned exoticals to have this hierarchy mindset, which is why sometimes women like this feel comfortable coming for a woman that's really being othered in the same way. So do you see that divide and conquer tactic working right here?
So I wouldn't associate a hair texture with a certain skin color because I feel like that sounds really stupid. Because anybody can have any hair texture when it comes to black people. Like black women have the Eve gene. We can reproduce any type of skin color, any type of hair color, any type of hair texture. Like we just got it like that. And I think sometimes when light-skinned women speak, they don't really think about what they're saying because...
Okay, so she said sometimes when light-skinned women think, they don't think about what they're saying. Okay, so if light-skinned women are such dumbasses who don't think about what they're saying, why are you responding? Like, seriously, why respond? Like, if this light-skinned girl is such an idiot, she doesn't think about what she's saying, these are just light-skinned lamentations, she's acting like the delusional light-skinned women on Red Table Talk. If this girl is so dumb and such an idiot and so irrelevant and you don't care about what she has to say, then why respond? Why respond in the first place? Why make her go viral? Why make her more famous? Just like Ekane, who, by the way, Ekane also she's gained about another 500,000 subscribers since the last time I checked, because you guys know that here on this channel, I am tracking Ekane because she's a fantastic case study. So this is proof that if you want clout from the unambiguous community or exotical saviors and light skin saviors, if you want clout, all you have to do is say something colorist, texturist, or featurist, because they're literally going to make you go viral off of that. Just like how they did with Ekane. They make these women richer. They make them more famous. Cardi B and Erica Mena and all these women, Natalie Nunn. Now Natalie Nunn has that show Baddies. So these women have bad social climbing tactics by even responding to women like this, especially if they think that, like, oh, they just don't think before they speak, or, these are just light skin lamentations. Okay, so since it's so minuscule, then why make these women famous? This is a classic mistake of people in the unambiguous community, or people who want to join Blackistan, like this woman on the screen. This is a common social climbing mistake. They make their enemies famous. They make the women they hate the most famous. They reproduce and birth the phenotype of the women that they hate.
Because a lot of the times when y'all speak on Black issues and just like Black topics, a lot of the times y'all get anti-Black fast. Like, it kind of reminds me of those same biracial girls with the white mothers.
All right, let's pause it right there. So remember how I said being monoracial won't save you. Now she's comparing the girl who's a monoracial. She identifies as a monoracial Black woman with 2 Black parents and 4 Black grandparents. She is placing her in the same category and the same stereotypes as a biracial girl with a white mother. So that's proof, once again, being monoracial won't save you. You're going to get othered in the same way. You're still going to get othered, just like how biracial women with white mothers get othered. I find it so hilarious that people have memorized all these different light skins, like Red Table Talk. I have never even thought about, I don't even watch Red Table Talk. I don't even know if that show still exists. Wasn't that like a Facebook show? So it's so interesting how in the unambiguous community, or the Black community, women who identify more with Blackness, they're memorizing what Deja Harris said years ago. You know what I mean? Like, light-skinned women hold so much weight to them because they're memorizing Deja Harris. They're memorizing that all the women on Red Table Talk are light-skinned. I never even thought about that or noticed that. I never even thought in my mind watching the Red Table Talk, oh, they're all light skinned, because that's not what I pay attention to when I watch videos online. I don't look and stare at people's complexions. So this is very interesting. They've memorized the complexions of the women on Red Table Talk. They memorize what Deja Harris says. They're also memorizing the behaviors of some of the biracial girls with white mothers. So exoticals are literally living in these women's heads rent free. And that's why they've got so many examples like, oh, this is how they behave. She's acting like Deja Harris. She's acting like these delusional light skins. Oh, these are light skin lamentations. It's because they're memorizing everything you say. You know why? Because they put you on a pedestal. That's why.
Like, you got to think before you speak, because light skin or being light skin does not mean you have to have a looser texture of hair.
When did anybody say that being light skinned means you have to have a looser texture of hair? She still did not pull any quotes from Nina Simone. I didn't see her pull any quotes where Deja Harris says, oh, light skinned women have to have a looser texture. That's not even what Deja Harris said. So do you see how they're responding to an argument that they never gave? They're responding to an argument that light skinned women never had. So I will validate this talking point once she shows me a clip or a video of a light-skinned girl saying only dark skin should have 4C hair. See how she has this quote on the screen? Who said that? Who said that only dark skin should have 4C hair? Show me the woman who said that. So once again, they're literally arguing over something that light-skinned women did not say.
Because I myself have a looser texture of hair and I'm not light skin. I just think that y'all need to stop associating dark skin with everything that is the opposite of light skin. Because if you are light skin with 2 Black parents, you are expected to have 4C hair.
And that's also not true. So she's literally, okay, so she literally just disproved her point right there. She said, if you're light skinned with 2 Black parents, you're expected to have 4C hair. That's false. You can probably have 2 Black parents and maybe your hair is 4A, 4B. So she's literally disproving her own point. She's contradicting her own point. She's literally saying, oh, Black people with 2 Black parents, they're expected to have 4C hair. Remember how I just showed you guys the clips a couple of weeks ago where they dragged that biracial guy for saying he has Black hair? And they were like, no, you could have 2 Black parents and have 4B hair. You can have 4A hair. So they were getting him on semantics and technicalities. And now this woman is over here changing the talking points. So which one is it? Should dark skins have 4C hair or should they not?
Okay, if you're not biracial, if you're not mixed, you are expected to have 4C hair, because a lot of Black people, no matter the skin color, have 4C hair. So I don't even know what that comment was.
And that's also false. Mixed people can have 4C hair. Biracial people can have 4C hair. So now she's once again contradicting her own talking point.
but it's really odd to say that.
These 4C hair debates are so frustrating to me because I grew up with 4C hair. I've had 4C hair my entire life, right? So I remember when I was younger and I would look at natural hair videos on YouTube and on Instagram and stuff like that. The hair textures that I would always see for these wash and goes and all of these treatments were always hair that was much looser than mine. Every wash and go, every treatment, every like hairstyle, everything. I could not find people with hair like mine. And
That is false. Your algorithm on social media is based on what you click on, and it's based on the videos that you give the most watch time to. So I can say that as a content creator myself. Okay. So people saying that, like, oh, I couldn't find anybody that had my hair texture. No, it's not that you couldn't find it. It's that when you typed it in, you did not click on the images of the women that actually had 4C hair. So you clicked on the women that had 3C hair. So it's interesting how the women with looser hair textures are still getting blamed. So now we are getting blamed because people with 4C hair happen to watch more videos of women with 3C hair.
Until I learned that my hair type was 4C. And then in some small corner of the internet, there were actually women with my type of hair teaching me how to deal with my hair.
So now she says that in a small corner of the internet, there are women with 4C hair. Isn't that interesting how the hierarchy thinking comes out? She's comparing the 4C girls to the 3C girls, kind of comparing numbers or comparing views, saying, the 4C girls, this is small. This is a small corner of the internet. This is where the small audiences are, the little audiences. So isn't that interesting that she just randomly brought up that it's smaller than the girls with type 3 hair? If that's not hierarchy thinking, I don't know what is.
Okay, 4C hair is the hardest, most toughest hair to manage. It is the coiliest, the kinkiest hair ever. Okay,
So now she gets to repeat the same thing that the light-skinned girl said, and it's totally fine. She just said that 4C hair is the hardest and the kinkiest. Actually, the light-skinned girl didn't even say any of that. But notice how only unambiguous women can speak freely on 4C hair. If you're light-skinned, you don't get to say shit about 4C hair unless it's positive.
it is already a lot when we're like seeing so many things that we can't do with our hair, but we're seeing it with other people. So if you are someone who has type 3 hair and you're claiming that your hair is 4C, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Just fix it. You know what I mean? Like, no one's mad at you. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you didn't realize. Just fix it. It's not that serious. But as a girl,
if it's not that serious, why are you making a whole TikTok about it? Why is there an entire discourse about how women with looser texture hair overtook the entire natural hair movement, or that they hijacked the natural hair movement? If it's not a big deal, why are people using terms like hijacking or this is war? Remember the Brianna Monique story, how they were calling her a texturist and saying that this is war and talking about women not being their allies. So if it's not a big deal, why are unambiguous women with 4C hair making it a big deal? Why are they making all these TikToks about it?
type 4 hair, as a girl with 4C hair, when I look up that type of hair texture, when I look up 4C hair wash and go, when I look up 4C hair ideas, hairstyle ideas, I only want to see 4C hair. Because if I'm frustrated and I'm looking for someone with hair like mine to teach me how to do a specific hairstyle and I see a 3A ass, just please don't. just please don't. Just please don't.
So do you see how she said, if I see a 3A ass bitch, is basically what she was about to say, and then she had to catch herself? Isn't that interesting? So once again, this goes along with their fear of being replaced. That's basically what it is. They have a fear that the fear of not being seen or a fear of not being heard. So this is called cognitive dissonance. A lot of unambiguous women have the fear of criticism that comes with being seen, but at the same time, they also have the fear of being invisible and not being seen in front of others. So that's called cognitive dissonance. She's got conflicting views. Like, on the one hand, I want women with 4C hair to be seen online, but on the other hand, I don't want them to be criticized. But a part of what comes with being seen is being criticized.
Learn what your actual hair type is, and then go under that category. Leave the 4C hair section to only 4C hair.
Okay, so she says learn what your hair texture is and go under that category. Category of what? Are you talking about YouTube tags? Are you talking about TikTok tags? Are you talking about hashtags? Notice how she is not specific about what these categorizations are. And by the way, I thought that they said that the categorization in the first place was texturist. The whole hair system was texturous. 1A, 1B, 2A, 2C, 3C, 4C. I thought all of it was texturism in the first place. And you guys didn't like that women are even dividing up their hair based on the categories. So what if some of the type 3 women, they're like, hey, I don't want to categorize, anybody can do this hairstyle. And so then they're just making videos. Now you're saying, no, you need to divide it up, divide it back up based on type 3, type 4, only have 4C hair women in one section. So basically segregate each hair type into different sections. But then not only does she not go into specifics of how to segregate that, like what should they be banned from using those tags on YouTube, she doesn't even say what these categories are. And that's because there is no actual category. It's literally the algorithm is just based on who gets the most watch time, who clicks on what, and that makes your video go up. So she's literally BSing and lying. She's making it like these type 3 women are somehow just taking over and, she can't help it and her hair can't do the same style. That sounds like a you problem, sis. Because most people have eyes. So if I type in 4C hair and a white woman comes up, I wouldn't click on the video. So it's like nobody told you to click on these videos. You're making these women's videos go up in the algorithm. This person says, I also hate how people who don't have 4C hair get on here and tell us our hair isn't hard to deal with. So do you see how this is the exact opposite talking point of the light-skinned woman we just saw? The light-skinned girl was just talking about how, her hair, that she had some difficulties with her hair. And now you got somebody in an unambiguous space where they think we can't see them saying that, oh, our hair is hard to deal with. And now we've got somebody arguing back saying, as someone with 4C hair, I don't find it difficult at all. Just got to do what it wants, to be honest. This person says 4C hair is a category on its own. We cannot do the same things as 4A and 4B. So on the one hand, the entire hair categorization system is texturous, but now we've got saying, oh no, 4C hair is its own category. So which one is it? Do you want to divide us all up based on hair categories or not? And where do you want these divisions to occur? Do you want them to occur in the YouTube algorithm? Because if so, that sounds like a problem that you should take up with the YouTube office or with the TikTok office. It sounds like you need to contact IT as opposed to contacting your subscribers. Your subscribers cannot fix the TikTok algorithm. They can't fix the YouTube algorithm. This person says, I got 4C. It was hard to manage when I didn't know how to, but once I got it, it was cool. Yeah, I think a lot of women, they just don't want to learn their own hair textures. I think that's a part of the problem. They'd rather watch type 3 women doing their hairstyles. This person says, I have 4B. I barely see people doing 4B hair, and I'm always seeing people do 4B/4C, and they have 4C, not 4B. Piss me off so much. OMG. So now we've got people accusing 4B women of cosplaying as having 4C, because that's essentially what this girl is doing. She's trying to accuse women with type 3 hair of cosplaying as having 4C hair. And now we've got women saying, oh, these 4B bitches are cosplaying my shit. They're cosplaying the 4C hair. But if I were to come on here and say, oh, 4C women are cosplaying with type 3 hair by putting on wigs, I'd be called texturist for doing that. So do you see how they accuse you of cosplaying them? They accuse you of cosplaying 4C and benefiting off the algorithm. They accuse mixed women of tanning their skin, trying to put lip fillers in, or white women or whatever, taking their men, dating their men because they go together. Remember the other girl? She said, oh, well, light-skinned women and dark-skinned black men, they go together. So they're constantly accusing these women with all these privileges of taking their shit and cosplaying. Anytime somebody says you're cosplaying, what they really mean is you are replacing them. You're attempting to replace this person. So they've got the fear of being replaced. So they're saying these type 3 girls are overtaking and replacing us. These 4B girls are cosplaying essentially as having 4C hair. Oh, but at the same time, we don't like the hair system at all because, that's texturous because you're trying to put 4C hair at the bottom by creating a system to begin with. So which one is it? Do you like the hair typing system or not? Do you like dividing up your hair based on type 4, type 3, type 2 or not? So do you see how they have these situational talking points? They're constantly changing their talking points so that they can have free reign to essentially hate on anyone that is more privileged than them in their eyes because they struggle with hierarchy thinking. They want to use these isms to have free reign to attack you and bully you. This person says, I thought there was actually something wrong with my hair. I thought I was doing something wrong because mine looked nothing like theirs. Okay, so that tells me more about your internalized standard of hair versus the algorithm on YouTube. This person says, stop pushing the narrative that 4C hair is hard to manage when it's really not. it requires more care and maintenance. And if you're not putting enough dedication into it, then of course it's going to be hard. So she just destroyed her own talking point within that one sentence, because in the first sentence, she said, it's not hard to manage. And then she says in the next sentence, it requires more care and maintenance. And if you're not putting enough dedication into it, then it's going to be hard. Okay, so you're saying it's not hard to manage. You just have to manage it and be dedicated to it. And then it'll be easy to manage. Do you see the incredible contradiction within one sentence? This person says, guys, I actually think it's a spectrum. I don't think it's the same for everyone. Different people have different hair types all in one head. Also, I don't think the chart is in any way inclusive of everyone. So they're saying that the chart is not, they need more hair types in the chart. The creator says it can be a spectrum, but if your curls look like Merida's from Brave and you claim it's like Lupita's, you're definitely stretching a bit.
I went natural for a couple of years and I just could not bring myself to be comfortable with my natural hair.
Hey, beautiful. My name's Ace, and I want to talk to you for a minute. Actually, I want to talk to all Black queens out there for a minute. As you see, I am a 4C queen, okay? I rolled out of bed, pulled off my bonnet just so I could take this video for you. Now, I don't want to say as a light-skinned girly myself because I don't consider myself light-skinned.
Okay, so notice how within the first 26 seconds, this light-skinned girl is saying she doesn't identify as light-skinned. Why do you think that is? Well, it's obviously because of her hair texture and her facial features, but even if she doesn't identify as light-skinned, then why are you speaking on a community that you personally do not identify with? So do you see how unambiguous Black women, they're allowed to have their own safe spaces and their own sacred communities where, only dark-skinned women can speak on certain things, but light-skinned women aren't allowed the same grace? You've got people coming online saying, oh, I don't identify as light-skinned, or I'm not light-skinned, or I'm not an exotical, whatever. I don't identify the same way as her, but this is my opinion on her. Do you see the extreme hypocrisy? So other people can give their opinion on you, but you can't give your opinion on them because that's colorist, texturist, and featurist.
Yeah, I do think that's a kind of a featurism thing, right? Because I have very Black features. I don't know. I don't consider myself light skinned, whatever. That's my own personal little thing that I got to go through. But I know I can get to the root of that. Speaking of being a lighter melanated person with 4C hair, right? I think that we need to have a full-blown conversation about this. Let's not focus on the skin color right now. And I know that's a huge thing. So many people are going down on you because it's like, woe is me, you're light skinned and you're making a complaint about a feature that confirms your Blackness. Which is true, baby. You shouldn't.
Whoa. So she says you're making a complaint about a feature that confirms your Blackness. Who is the one group of women who makes entire YouTube channels complaining about the features that confirm their Blackness? Dark skin, 4C hair, and African features. Which community makes the most content on social media complaining about the features that confirm their Blackness? Oh, that's right. Unambiguous, dark skin, monoracial, Black women themselves. So notice how when a light-skinned woman comes on and includes herself in the conversation, then suddenly people say, well, you're complaining about the features that make you Black. Can't I make the same argument against Chrissy? Can't I make the same argument against all the colorism YouTube channels? They complain all day about the features that make them Black to the point where they want to divest and make mixed babies who are less Black than them. And they even say that they're creating mixed babies so that they don't go through the same isms as them.
You shouldn't be mad about a feature that just confirms who you are as a person. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But
okay, she said you shouldn't be mad about a feature that confirms who you are as a person. When did the light-skinned girl in the original TikTok say she was mad? When did she say that she was mad about a feature that confirms her Blackness? So do you see how this woman, notice how most of the women coming against this light-skinned girl, they are all like exotical saviors for the most part. You got dark-skinned exoticals going against her. You got light-skinned Black women going against her. And these women are doing it partially because, they're Black identified, basically. They're monocultural. They're monocultural, raised in only the unambiguous Black community. And so they're just parroting and repeating the same talking points from these colorism and texturism YouTube channels.
Let's take a step back and remember that whether you're light-skinned, dark-skinned, brown-skinned, white passing, albino, whatever you may be, majority of people do have a problem with 4C hair. Majority of people are not confident within their 4C hair.
Her saying majority of people are not confident in their 4C hair. I feel like she only feels comfortable saying that because she has 4C hair. If I were to come on and say that, imagine a person with 3C hair coming on and saying majority of people with 4C hair don't feel confident in their hair. Do you know how many people would be outraged at that?
They're not. They are not. They are not. That's why a lot of the times in the entertainment industry, they would rather you be bald because they don't want to have to deal with your 4C hair because they don't know what to do with it. That's why, and I know we say it's because of maintenance and, oh, I don't know how to do it, but that's why people are wearing wigs and braids and manipulations and perms. But for any other thing that's high maintenance, your hair, your lashes, your skin, even literally going to get braids for 12 hours. Get going every 2 weeks for your lashes, going every 2 weeks for your nails. That's high maintenance, but you don't mind doing it. But you don't want to take the time to love yourself of who you are naturally. And I need you to understand that that is a problem. It is a problem when you cannot look at yourself in the mirror naturally and think you're beautiful.
Okay, so now she's saying, it's a problem that you don't love yourself in your natural state. Okay, cool. So then what is this TikTok response doing to cause that original light skinned girl to love herself? Please tell me what the solution is. And please tell me how creating TikToks, badgering, and arguing with her is helping her to love herself more. I'll wait. You cannot control somebody else's self love journey. And sometimes people hide behind self love talking points so they can just basically give their 2 cents and criticize you. But then if you do the same thing to them, of course, you are anti Black.
I wake up just like this. Let me show you every angle of lighting. I'm like, dang, I am fine.
Okay, so now she's kind of flexing her self love, saying, I wake up every day just like this and I think I'm fine. So, how does that help the initial light skinned girl to love herself? Like, how does that help her? Since you value self-love so much, please tell me how this TikTok response caused that light-skinned woman to love herself more. Like, what is she supposed to do with this? I'm keeping the same energy. For all the people who said, okay, what are we supposed to do with this TikTok? What is she supposed to do with this TikTok? Of another girl with a similar phenotype saying, well, I look kind of like you and I love myself. So you should too. That's not how life works, sis.
And regardless if you think the same or not, I could give two flying, okay? Because your confidence ain't got nothing to do with me and how much I love myself. But understand what you can do to your mind when you are refusing and it cannot conceptualize a love for who you are naturally, especially something that you see in the mirror every day. Because regardless of if you're wearing a wig, braids, or perm, that perm gonna grow out, them braids are gonna grow out, and that wig you gotta take off. So at some point, you are going to be reminded every time you look at yourself of something you hate.
I find it interesting that she's saying, like, basically, when you look in the mirror, you hate yourself. But that's actually not even what the girl said originally. She never even said, when I look in the mirror, I hate the way I look. Although I will say I have seen lots of unambiguous girls making videos saying, I hate my 4C hair. I hate my skin tone. I hate my features. So notice how it's only okay to call it out when someone is considered privileged.
And why do you hate it? Why do you hate that 4C is beautiful? Why do you? Because honestly, to me, it just boils down to you don't want that proximity of being Black. You want to be seen as racially ambiguous.
Okay, so are you going to keep the same energy for the hundreds of thousands of people in Africa who are bleaching themselves, for the people who are wearing the lace front, not just this light skinned girl, but for all of the people who are doing any body modifications? That could be wearing contacts, it could be contouring their noses, any of those things. Are you saying that they all hate themselves too? Because the thing that bothers me is when they only keep this energy when you have some sort of privilege already. Like if you already have proximity to looking mixed, then that's when people say, oh, well, you're just trying to look mixed. You're trying to cosplay as looking mixed. And then they don't say anything to the millions of unambiguous women who are literally going through surgeries and stuff to change themselves. Then they don't say that. They'll say, oh, well, she's just leveling up, or she's just doing her thing. That's her own beauty. And you shouldn't care about what Black women do. Stay out of Black women's business. That light-skinned girl, she identifies as being monoracially black, so why can't you stay out of her business? Do you see the hypocrisy?
You want to be seen as clean, prim, and proper in terms of respectability politics, especially when it comes to corporate America.
Okay, so I find it interesting how she's using that same word again, clean. I saw that the first girl in her TikTok, she was like, "Oh, this girl thinks she's light skinned and clean." This girl is now the second one who is associating being lighter skinned with being clean. So that's just an interesting thing I wanted to point out because I've never seen that before. So I don't know. I wasn't raised though monoculturally in the Black community, so now I'm starting to think this must be a discussion in the unambiguous community then that quote unquote lighter skin is viewed as clean or something, and that quote unquote dark skin is viewed as dirty. So she's actually exposing her own, the flaws within the unambiguous community. And also, let's talk about social climbing and corporate America. Once again, this light skinned girl, she said nothing about either of those things. She didn't say anything about work and corporate America, but there are millions of Black women who do actually wear wigs or wear their hair straight in corporate America. Who gonna check them? So if you're not going to check the unambiguous Black women for wearing wigs in corporate America, why do you suddenly want to check this woman for wearing her hair in a bun or wearing wigs? In fact, this girl, she didn't even say she was going to wear wigs. She didn't even say, I'm going to straighten my hair for corporate America.
Because if it's not straight or if it's not a loose curl, then it's unacceptable. It's untamed. It's not professional.
Okay, so what is the solution? Once again, why is it that all of these pro-Black talking points, they want to badger people and say you hate yourself, but then they never give you a solution to the self-hate. They never give you solutions to the texturism, colorism, and featureism. So my question for this woman and the rest of the women is, what are they supposed to do? What would you have them do? Are you saying that Black women in general should never wear wigs, never straighten their hair? Don't worry about corporate America, don't care about how they're perceived, because that's what the bonnet women are doing. That's what the Black women are doing who are wearing bonnets. Those women are the ones who are out in their natural state. That's how they wake up in the morning. They like how their hair looks with the bonnet on. So do you see the dysfunction in the Black community? They will shame you for wearing a bonnet out in public, or they'll shame you for wearing your hair, kind of like how her hair is in this video. They'll shame women for their hair looking unkempt in the Black community. But then at the same time, if you're a light-skinned woman, or if you want to social climb somehow in corporate and you're changing your hair, then they'll say the same thing. Oh, well, you hate yourself. Well, you're just trying to be white. You're trying to cosplay as white. You're trying to cosplay as mixed. These are light-skinned lamentations. You're acting like the girls at Red Table Talk. So which one is it? Do you see how you're damned if you do, damned if you don't? I can see why there's a lot of mental illness in the Black community, because imagine being raised by women who say things like this. It's like they never give any solutions. Either you hate yourself or you're ghetto and ratchet. So the women who wear the bonnets and stuff, or their natural state, and they don't brush their hair, or they just wake up and whatever, they look like how this woman looks, or they just wake up, they don't put on any makeup or whatever, then they'll say, you look unkempt, you look like you just rolled out of bed, you look like you didn't even take a shower. But then at the same time, if you do modify your body, then it's, oh, you're just trying to fit in. You're a sellout, basically. She's implying that this woman is some sort of a sellout. But also, why should she want to associate with a community who treats her like this? If this is how you treat women for showing their vulnerability in the Black community, I can see why they divest from your asses. I can see why. I'm not saying that they should, but I can see why. I mean, I really don't care, but let's continue.
And I am 100% here to break that stigma.
Okay, so this girl says that she is here to break the stigma that comes with like 4C hair and, kind of like being effortlessly Black is how I will describe it. Okay, so just because you feel the need to be a social justice warrior for 4C hair or for Blackness or whatever it is, being Afrocentric, essentially, that does not mean that other light-skinned women are going to do the same thing. Okay, so this is my issue in the Black community. They do this groupthink mindset where it's like, no, you have to stand up for Blackness. You have to be Afrocentric. You can't straighten your hair. You can't relax your hair. You shouldn't wear makeup. You shouldn't want your hair to be looser. And it's like, okay, so you're telling them that they shouldn't want to modify themselves. And then you're pressuring them to be these social justice warriors. And then you get mad when they're unhappy with being social justice warriors. So do you see how there is no right way to be a woman in the Black community? It's like everything you do is wrong. Everything's wrong. The way you wear your hair is wrong. So if you wear it natural, it looks unkempt. If you relax it, you're a self-hater.
So here's my tidbit and solution for you. of how I've been able to get up and love myself 100% and purely.
Okay, so she's about to say her solution, but I just want to make it clear that solutions are actually subjective. There is no one size fits all solution to anybody's problems. But let's hear what she has to say.
Outside of just forcing myself to be natural and forcing myself to have to deal with my hair, right? This is what I want you to do. Next time that little new growth come in and it's time for a reperm, whenever them braids get old and you need to take them down to redo them, the next time you take off that wig, the next time that you're about to manipulate your hair in any shape or form, whether that's a texturizer, a Brazilian blowout, a silk press, right before you go do that, I want you to go take a bath. I want you to go take an everything shower. Make yourself feel real good, yeah? And when you get out that bath, I want you to go look at yourself in the mirror just like this. I don't want you to have one of these on. Get in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and say, I'm beautiful, just like that, as bare as you are, as true as you can, until you believe it.
Okay, so she's saying the solution is to do affirmations or to do mirror work, which is actually false. Okay. If you were to go to a therapist, if you've got complex PTSD, if you have some sort of insecurities or whatever, and all you had to do was look in the mirror and say, "Oh, I'm beautiful," then therapists wouldn't exist. Support groups wouldn't exist. None of the isms would exist, actually, because all you have to do is say a few words. So, and also, even if this did work instantly, like, oh, she just has to look in the mirror and then she's magically just gonna like wear her 4C hair, even if that did work after like a month of doing it or something, what is she supposed to do in the meantime? Like, while she still has insecurities? Because this is another thing. A lot of these women, they don't understand psychology. They don't understand that there's actually no such thing as perfect confidence. Okay. There's no such thing as perfect confidence. There's no such thing as like, always meeting your internalized beauty standard 100% of the time. So let's say this woman feels like she meets her own internalized beauty standard just like this. So with no makeup and whatever, how she looks right now, she does not meet externally the internalized beauty standard. So what she's saying is you need to not take in any outside pedestals or micro validations. You need to just do the same thing that I'm doing and just basically walk around in a robe with your hair uncombed and shrunken. And then you need to just say that I'm beautiful. So that's only going to work for some people. Human beings are not a monolith. So this is why I talk about meeting your own internalized beauty standard. Just because your beauty standard is a bonnet or a robe and like no makeup or whatever, other women actually have the right to have a different beauty standard. Maybe they like the glamorous look or they associate looser curl patterns with looking glamorous, as we know to be the case in the Black community because a lot of the weaves they buy are multiracial types of hair textures. So now we actually have a woman who is she identifies as being light skinned and having a looser hair texture. And I found the response to her to be very interesting, but let's see.
I have been seeing a lot of videos on my For You page discussing the Nina Simone hair texture video. And I don't know if I'm going to post this video. It might not make it on the drafts because I'm a little nervous about posting this because obviously I am someone who has both light skin privilege and also hair privilege. But I have to tell you, as someone who is biracial and as someone who changed her hair curl pattern, so that is how I am coming to you. I am just coming to you from my experience as someone who is lighter skinned and as someone who had a tighter curl pattern and transitioned to a looser curl pattern. My life changed when my hair changed. And I think that is the more important conversation to have here because people shouldn't have like completely different lives because their hair is a little less curly. Like that is insane. And I think it's something that we need to discuss and talk about more and figure out how do we deconstruct these very toxic ideals that can actually impact people's quality of life.
Okay, let's look and see how people responded to this biracial girl. Look at this comment right here. You are white passing, hun. That's not the same thing as being light skinned. Without commentary, most people assume you're white. I don't think your experience is invalid, but I don't think it's comparable. So notice how people immediately start coming for this girl and saying she's not light skinned. So do you see how they move the goalpost for what's light skinned and what's not? So they're saying she doesn't count as light skin. I've seen a lot of people say that like Jada Pinkett and Willow Smith or women of that complexion don't count as light skin. So it's like nobody's light skin basically. They want to erase the light skin identity. This person says, Harpo, who dis white woman? This person says, y'all are crazy if y'all think a certain curl pattern will determine your life. Hair is nothing. This person says, I didn't even know you were one of us. This person says, you are white passing biracial, not light skinned. So do you see how they're now moving the goalpost again because, they don't like when a light skinned person calls themselves light skinned? So it's like, okay, what's light skin? So white passing is not considered light skin. Caramel's not considered light skin. Okay, so what counts as light skin? Remember how sometimes they're like, oh, you have to have 2 black parents that are monoracial in order to be considered light skinned. And then some people are like, no, that doesn't count. You have to be this woman's complexion in order to be considered light skin. This is why I'm glad that we had our own vote on this channel about what we are going to consider light skin. Be sure to check out my videos about that. But this person says, y'all are way too concerned about other people's opinions to the point where you let them dictate how you feel about the blackest feature y'all have. The first step to deconstructing beauty standards is not caring or spending money to adhere to them. The quote unquote light skin beauty standard y'all are talking about is just racial ambiguity and not looking black. This is internal racism. Y'all should be unpacking on your own. So I do agree that, yeah, it's hierarchy thinking in Blackistan. That I've only ever heard in the black community to where whiteness is the standard of mixed race. Has anybody else noticed that? In Blackistan, the standard for mixed race is being white passing or whatever. So let's say you are mixed and you don't look like this woman here, then people will say, you're not even mixed, you're black and you're dark, or you don't even look biracial. You just look like a light-skinned black woman. Or you're cosplaying as mixed, very similar to what they said to the first light skinned girl. You're cosplaying as mixed, that sort of talking point. This person says, some of y'all need to understand the difference between white passing and racially ambiguous. Her facial features are not white phenotypically. This person says, it only impacts your quality of life if you allow it to, down to the friends you keep, the men you date, the places you live, and the jobs you take, for example. Yeah, I mean, I think that women have the right to socially engineer themselves however they want, so wherever you're social climbing, that is where your phenotype matters. So yeah, if you're social climbing maybe in the black community, then the standard is going to be different in terms of beauty, if you care about that. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.